Greetings and love to everyone everywhere, and congratulations on surviving a wild and wacky NBA trade deadline with just numerous deals, numerous haymakers, numerous blockbusters, numerous players getting moved, getting sent away and being acquired and all of that jazz. And whoo, my head is still spinning from yesterday, from these last few hours when we were just bombarded with news just incoming every other minute. And here today in the BasketNews.com studio, we have Rokas, Grajauskas and Mykolas Jankaitis.
Hello.
Your local friendly Lithuanian NBA heads, ready to discuss everything that we find the most interesting about what happened yesterday. And also, Mykolas, just how you doing, baby? How has it been? How it's hanging?
I actually have kind of blue balls after the last day's trade deadline, because I have this kind of feeling that if it was extended 5 hours or something like that, like few more blockbusters would have happened. Like Jeremy Grant would have been moved, like maybe Warriors would have done something. Well, maybe not, but especially when Brooklyn Nets acquired 2 tradable first-round picks in the trade that we will talk about shortly. I was like, oh my God, it's like Joe Harris plus those 2 picks, either Jeremy Grant, either Miles Turner or something like that, the player that this team really needs. Well, they will do this move in off-season. Maybe they are writing off this year a bit, I don't know, but I really expected a lot. And also, I expected Kings to do more than they did. Like when they moved for DiVincenzo, I thought, okay, Holmes' move is going to be next, but maybe their asking price was a bit too much. So basically, when it comes to trades, I'm the more I get, the hungrier I get. So it's like the same as with food.
Damn! You must be good in love and in bed, but not so satisfactory as an NBA fan without just shooting out your emotions at the very end of the NBA trade deadline. So the first move that we must address, but we decided to address not as extensively as we possibly could, because for one reason, everybody at the next few days will be talking about James Harden being moved to Philly, and Ben Simmons with Seth Curry, with Andre Drummond, with 2 first-round picks, both of them Sixer picks in 2022 and in 2027, getting shipped to Brooklyn, and thus officially ending the really just uncompelling era of the big 3 in Brooklyn. We had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden play 16 games together during these like 1.5 seasons. Well, a season, because Harden was dealt nearly midway through the last season. So yeah, it was just, we all expected so much. Before the season, we both considered them to be the favorites in the East, at the very least. And right now, the team is just as quickly as it was amassed, as quickly it just went
it collapsed.
And collapsed to pieces.
Maybe not collapsed, but it's like there was some restructuring, but it's really a house of cards right now. Like the one moving part was replaced, and it's still standing, but it can fall apart really quickly. Of course, everything basically hangs on Kyrie's decision right now. That's in the summer, and well, if there's one person that I would love not to be dependent on, it would be Kyrie Irving, unless I would be leader of anti-vaxxer movements. I don't know, but maybe even then, like, it's really it's impossible. Like at this time last year, it was. Well, no, it's not like there wasn't any signs that this team
might have problems,
be prone to some problems. You know, we have all KD prehistory. We have the way how Harden forced his way out of the Houston. Maybe that's why Brooklyn dealt him so swiftly. So that wouldn't become what happened in Houston. And we have, of course, Kyrie Irving. So in base of player talent, I still think this is the three greatest players at their prime ever assembled. I don't know. Maybe Curry and Klay Thompson and KD is better.
That was a monster team.
Like, yeah, of course, Klay Thompson, like if we would look in the context, he is like better player, he's more scalable and etc. But like Kyrie, Harden and KD, that was like insane amount of offensive talent. It's like it's impossible to understand how they imploded. So, well, that's already too much talking about this trade, but basically, how do you feel about the trade itself? Not the context of the Heat, not the context of the Philly that they might have gotten Harden last year and etc. But how do you feel right now about this trade?
A bit relieved, sort of, that all of the drama, all of the shadow that was hanging over the Sixers with the Ben Simmons situation and the entire discussion around it just took so much and so long and was just already getting through your throat. So finally, the move was made. Ben Simmons is now a Brooklyn Net, and we have James Harden rejoining Daryl Morey from their days in Houston together, and now James Harden with Joel Embiid, and if we get a fully motivated James Harden, which we
and fully
did not
capable,
see, because of the injury, of course, yes, in his like optimal form, then Philly becomes a really, really interesting team in this season, and the East already, even though like two of the Eastern contenders just reshaped their rosters between one another, the East feels as if got even more competitive when it comes
because two players that like one didn't play at all, and other that played like really weirdly this season, they hopefully gonna play, and it's like quite addition to the talent pool of the conference. So I share your feeling about that. I also share the feeling of relief. I really got pissed about like every week. Well, Ben Simmons, blah blah blah. Well, James Harden, blah blah blah.
Ben Simmons.
And of course, I think that Ben Simmons is like his defensive capabilities is vastly overrated, and he don't solve much of the Nets problems. Maybe,
but he does fit the Nets, though.
Well,
they have.
I
shooters.
wouldn't Nate Duncan really put this really nicely. It's not like he fits Nets so much, but Nets fit him better than any other team in the NBA. He's still a really hard player to fit on because he cannot protect the rim. He's not like the Draymond Green, you know. Mm-hmm. He cannot be your main rim protector. And if you don't have why I was speaking about Miles Turner before, if you don't have a rim protector that can stretch out the floor, it's basically clock jam with him on the offense. So there's still a bunch of rebuses what to do for Brooklyn Nets, but Steve Nash is a smart guy, and maybe they will do something interesting. And on the other end, on the Philly, I hear those concerns that Joel Embiid isn't a pick and roll player, but like, who is the best pick and roll ball handler that Joel Embiid ever played with?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maybe Jimmy Butler. Like, Jimmy Butler is just a really, really good player, but it's not like a amazing pick and roll player. In my opinion, at his prime, James Harden was not worse than any other guard in history of the game in strictly pick and roll game. Like, his talents for this particular element of basketball is enormous. His strength, like he can overpower any guard when driving to the basket. He can drop down the three if you use drop coverage. His passing is outstanding. Like, for some reason, James Harden is never considered to be a great passer. Maybe because everyone was like, I don't know. At least in the my context, maybe in Lithuania more, like everyone, just maybe used to put James Harden in the same bracket as Russell Westbrook. Stats padding, bad in the big games, and etc. But I believe that pick and roll is quite simple game for the big man if you have an amazing guard to play with. And Joel Embiid, I don't think he will have a lot of problems playing pick and roll with James Harden. On the other hand, Philadelphia will have a lot of problems defending, a lot of problems defending fast breaks especially, or if they will use all the talent on defense, they won't have spacing. So there's a lot of questions to answer. For Doc Rivers, is he capable to answer those questions? I think not. That's why I'm not excited for this trade as I maybe it should be, because I just don't think that either of this team is favored to win the East right now.
But Daryl Morey can walk around with his head up right now, because
as he always does.
You didn't settle for C.J. McCollum and picks. You didn't settle for De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes. You actually waited it out against all odds. We all thought that this was like a very, very dangerous play, but he actually came out on top, and the risk absolutely paid off. Well, James Harden presumably will extend his contract with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, he opted into...
he did.
Yeah.
He did already opt in. So, yeah, that's an additional blanket of security. So, yeah, Philly got their man. Daryl Morey got his man. And we'll see how it goes. And this additional dimension also gives us an extra flavor for the playoffs, for a possible matchup of Philadelphia against Brooklyn with the All-Star draft, with Kevin Durant just refusing to draft James Harden into his team.
Oh my
that was
God,
just
that was hilarious.
so petty and yet so enticing. Say what you want. I mean, yeah, you have like grown men creating drama over stuff.
No, it
but
was
this
a
is interesting.
interesting content. I really agree with it, and I'm not much of an inside of an NBA person, but the way Charles Barkley just hinted, you need rim protection, yes, and KD, yeah, I need rim protection. I need someone to protect the paint. Yeah, Rudy Gobert, and LeBron James holding his like not blocked nose, but something like that to cover his face, like just like so, like posturously, just wanting to show how he doesn't want to show that he's laughing.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but James Harden, with this drama and this turnout, saved Rudy Gobert from being picked the last in the All-Star draft for 2 years in a row, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Last year they also Donovan
James
Mitchell and Rudy Gobert were the last, but I can't really put my mind around which one went.
Wasn't Russell Westbrook also really low?
No, I believe they left, and I remember LeBron talking about like, well, we never played for the Jazz, like in computer games and stuff, and like nobody likes the Jazz.
Like since it's a Eurocentric podcast, we can talk a bit about that. Well, yeah, Rudy Gobert is really good basketball player, but. Yeah, it's an all-star game.
People, and
you don't love to see good rim protector,
I mean, this is so funny and so ironic, but after discussing James Harden and Ben Simmons getting traded for each other, we now can move on to our main topic of this episode. And
which fortunately is not Goran Dragic being bought out by San Antonio Spurs.
No, but please tell me, what are the odds that the only two Latvian NBA players at the moment would be put on airplanes in Dallas and Washington and just go, hey, somewhere in the air above the United States when they get traded for each other? That's just...
Like, when you started this sentence and talked about planes, I immediately went through much more darker scenario, which I will not elaborate on. But this is really... Basically, I think Luka Doncic went to Mavs front office and told, well... we cannot
need a
win
new
with
Latvian.
we cannot win with Kristaps Porzingis, but if we don't have any Latvian on our team, I'm leaving. So
I mean, that's I thought about referencing it a bit later in the podcast, but this is a good moment to remember one of the best basketball games I have ever watched in my life. 2017 Eurobasket quarterfinals, Latvia against Slovenia. That was an incredible game. It was such emotional, such intense, such just a performance by both teams. And yeah, Luka just keeps on having a Latvian on his team. I'm not saying that this is the reason why, but yeah, somehow this continues with a Latvian besides the Slovenian phenomenon. Throughout NBA history, since 1946, we have had 7 Latvian players play in the league. Can you name at least 6?
7. Okay, so 2 Bertans.
Yeah, Davis and Dairis.
And by the way, fellow Latvians that are listening to this podcast, I'm really apologizing for the way I'm pronouncing maybe incorrectly certain names in this quiz. Okay, so also Kristaps Porzingis, Porzingis of course. Then we have Andris Biedrins.
Yeah.
And now I'm Rodion Skuruts.
Yeah, of course, Rodi.
And I have 5, yes?
Yeah, you have 2 left. One of them played in the current era, let's call it that. And one of them was the first Latvian player to ever play in the NBA.
Kaspar Skambala.
No, Kaspar Skambala never made the NBA, no.
But do you think I know the first one?
The first one, like, the one who played? Yeah, I mean, you know, Davis Bertans was called the Latvian Laser by the Wizards team. And the same team called the other dude the Latvian Ladder. That's one of the...
Oh, it's Andrzejs Pasechniks.
Yeah, and one of the most ridiculous nicknames any team ever threw out about their own player. Just the Latvian Ladder, are you kidding
basketball
me?
Player. Yeah, in Lithuania, we maybe don't have a lot of imagination, but if the tall player is useless, we just call him Tree.
You know? Yeah.
But Ladder is just much more elaborate insult. I love that. it's really.
So the Dallas Mavericks
and
the last one. The last player was of course Gundars Vetra.
Yeah,
who played in the 90s one season for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if I was Latvian, I would definitely be rocking a retro Gundars Vetra Timberwolves jersey. Definitely.
Yeah,
and Vetra, that's a badass last name.
Yeah.
So, the Dallas Mavericks sent out the oft-injured Kristaps Porzingis and a 2022 second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie, who tore his ACL last season, and Davis Bertans, who tore his ACL twice while still playing in Europe.
And how many times did Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL?
I believe just once in 2017 in his only All-Star season.
Isn't against trade violations that they should also like match the torn ACL counts and add someone to this trade?
That's a good one. But no, Wizards overpaid with ACL tears, wait, what did I want to... yes. It's hard to find like the injury history officially listed online of one or the other player.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Fox Sports at least have an injury list on Kristaps Porzingis. Since 2017 February, when he suffered the ACL tear, they have listed 15 knee injuries that he has gone through and missed games because of just knee injuries general. He was moved after missing the last 5 games of the Dallas Mavericks because of knee soreness. So the man has really big problems with his knees, and that's of course a red flag for any potential suitors. And the trade itself, the more I think about it, it feels sad. I mean, it's just moving damaged goods for damaged goods. Give me your problem, I will give you mine problem, and we'll see. Maybe it miraculously works out in like new surroundings.
Yeah, like last week I told one of my colleagues that, I want to help you with your issue because I didn't want to deal with mine. You know, so it's really. likely that Wizards and Mavericks GMs had a similar discussion, because I see SBNation.com article about ranking the every move of the trade deadline, and they gave Mavericks C and Wizards A. I have
That's
no
insane.
fucking idea in what way this is an A. Like sending two contracts that are hard to move for one contract that it's likely impossible to move for positive value, and basically, yeah, maybe there's an upside, but I just think that it's still trying the move that was made, trying to please Bradley Beal, which was supposed to be traded like 2 seasons ago. So I really complimented the way Wizards acted in this off season, and I'm not sure that this is the move that is in the same trajectory that they set in the offseason.
They got off Thaddeus Bertans contract, and they basically took 2 negative value contracts and turned them into 1. And for the rest of the season, I mean, with Bradley Beal out for the season, the Wizards have a chance with Porzingis to do the same thing that Memphis did with Jonas Valanciunas, which is just feed him the ball, help him produce, help him get his value
Increase
back
his
up,
value,
and then maybe deal him for something else. Hell, they did the same thing with Russell Westbrook, more or less. The Wizards did.
Do you think that LA will move for Kristaps this offseason, because there's only one Rob Pelinka and he has so many assets left, you know?
I mean, and considering all of this context, I have a question for you. The career high of Kristaps Porzingis is 40 points that he laid on the heads of Thaddeus Young, Miles Turner, and Domantas Sabonis in 2017. Will we see Kristaps Porzingis just doing one better and setting a new career high for points in the rest of the 2021-22 season?
In the rest of the season?
Yeah,
no,
this season. No?
I'm pretty
They've
positive.
got Bradley Beal is out. They don't have a lot of. I mean, and they will try to boost his value.
Kristaps Porzingis will play a lot.
Yeah, that's the
because
thing.
Yeah, like you mentioned JV as an example, and it's a really smart comparison. I like that, but the problem, like not the problem with JV. JV actually, as Sabonis, they are super durable basketball players, and Kristaps is not that. And just for a team to be that stupid that to get player on this contract, this track record of injuries, I'm not talking about the Wizards, but I'm talking about the other prospective buyer, just to gamble this much on a player this flawed with the contract injuries and some regression on the defensive end.
Not only that, but
it's hard to believe that it's going to happen, but maybe.
He's still only 26 years old.
Yep.
He still has like his best years theoretically in front of him.
He played 10,000 minutes.
And when it comes to his, if we take a look at his shot selection, 23% of his shots come from the closest range possible, 0 to 3 feet, which is basically a meter, I believe. And where he is finishing there at a 78% clip, which is by far the best of his career. And also the 23% is the most often he ends up shooting just from under the basket, also in comparison to all of the rest seasons that he has played in the NBA. But according to Basketball Reference, every single one of the 49 three-pointers that he has made this season have been assisted. Every single one. So he doesn't create his own shot.
Well,
the shots get
not
created
so bad,
for him, but he's shooting 28%. 28% on like 5 3-point attempts per game. So he's really regressed in that. And also the thing, like from the Mavericks point of view, a lot of people, a lot of like analytics are happy that they got rid of Kristaps Porzingis for like the model of player that they were trying to turn Kristaps into. That is Davis Bertans, somebody who would just stand by the 3-point line, just shoot your shots when you get the ball, don't require no post touches, no nothing. And when it comes to Kristaps, 34% of all of his shots this season were 3-pointers, and this number is the lowest since he arrived in Dallas. It was 43% the first season he played there, and he has had much more freedom to play in the post this year. And in fact, he is the 5th most frequent post-up player in the league this season.
Do you have a list of the
other? Nurkic at 4, Valanciunas at 3, Embiid at 2, and comfortably in number 1, Robin Lopez. 44% of all of his touches are post-up plays. So
only American. And still like
still owning it. And in the top 25 of this list of the most frequent post-uppers, only Billy Hernan Gomez has a lower field goal percentage than Kristaps Porzingis. So he's been posting up, but he's been doing that inefficiently, and he cannot hit his 3-pointers this season. And really, the value is possibly the lowest that he has had since arriving in Dallas.
The only thing that still helps Kristaps Porzingis, and I every season I expect him to be better. Like I love the idea of Porzingis so much. It's the amazing rim protecting center that shoots threes, and have some zing to his game. It's a bit more exciting, the version of Brook Lopez, a bit more skilled version of Miles Turner. That's what he's supposed to be, and the theory of this player was amazing fit to Luka Doncic. And, well, of course, it was really bad decision by Dallas front office to offer him
the
this
5-year
contract.
extension. Yeah.
And also the idea of Bertans, the player that received that contract, not the one that's shooting at 32% from the 3-point line right now, is also really exciting besides Luka Doncic.
Yeah. I mean, they had a Kyle Korver type, just to the core of the players. And Porzingis just grew up looking up to Carmelo Anthony, even had cornrows like Carmelo Anthony, even played with Carmelo Anthony, so of course he's going to demand the ball. And Davis Bertans is not that, is the type of player that would fit. That would fit the needs of the Dallas Mavericks. But this season, as you mentioned, the Latvian laser has been turned off tenacious D style. He's 32% from 3, when up until this season his career average was 41. So maybe it's just a slump and just a deviation from the norm, but if it persists, then of course that would be the most terrible scenario for the Dallas Mavericks. And he's also shooting only 35% from the field. And
well, it's logical since
most of his shots are 3-pointers, yes, but there have only been 20 other players this season who appeared in at least 20 games and have not reached 36% on their field goals. There have only been 6 who played in more games than Davis Bertans. That's Javon Carter, Armoni Brooks, Trey Murphy III, Rodney Hood, Aaron Nesmith, and Isaiah Joe. And all of them combined,
that's some list of the players.
Make $15.8 million, when Davis Bertans makes 16, and 16 the next year, and then 17 the next year, and then 16 the next year, up until 2025. So if his shot doesn't come back, the Dallas Mavericks are fudged with his contract, and that's basically 2 negative value contracts with him and Spencer Dinwiddie, who also is having a very, very down year. And
but I still believe that it's easier to send Davis Bertans to, it's lower cost to send Bertans to OKC, who by the way have 20-something million who are 20-something million below the cap floor. So if they don't sign some random players for a lot of money, they are paying out that amount of money to their players after the season, which is maybe nice.
The players will be rooting for that. Just don't sign anybody, Sam.
We will bully any player that's being signed for us. So I just think that in case this doesn't work out, it will be easier to get rid of those two players than one Kristaps Porzingis. If after this year he still wouldn't be himself, So maybe I really, really hope Washington will rehabilitate him. I still see the magic Luka effect on Thaddeus Bertans. I cannot believe that the insane shooting season he had was anomaly.
He made his money, and then he refused to play in the bubble and just started relaxing and living the life.
Maybe.
I have $90 million locked.
Well, Luka has $200 million locked, and he also had some. We also had some concerns about his preparation for the season, but he dropped 51 points last night, so maybe it's just a different
the
vibe.
First quarter was insane. That was wow.
So also Kristaps Porzingis can be getting rid of him can be addition of by subtraction for Dallas Mavericks. So
that's basically the mood in Dallas right now, and this is. Well, they paid a lot. They still owe a 2023 first-round pick to the New York Knicks from the Porzingis trade. So
I would say that it was excellent move by New York Knicks, but they don't seem to have been capitalized from this.
And as for Spencer Dinwiddie, his career three-point shooting percentage is 31.7. He came into the league with no jump shot whatsoever. In his first two seasons in Detroit, he made 13 out of 75 three-point attempts. And I cannot envision him being successful alongside Luka Doncic. He's absolutely not the type of player that you would like to put next to Luka Doncic.
But why? Spencer Dinwiddie was at his best while he was playing besides
for the Brooklyn Nets.
Besides two ball-dominant guards, D'Angelo Russell and Caris LeVert. It wasn't like he was the main creator for the subpar team, and he was successing in that. No, D'Angelo Russell became an all-star playing besides him, and a lot of people were saying that Spencer Dinwiddie was the actually one that deserved the place instead of D'Angelo. I'm not saying that Spencer is the same player that he was in Brooklyn, but also we have to take into consideration the climate between him and Bradley Beal. There was really weird feud that I believe we will see SB Nation video being made after 5 years or something like that, because it seems that Bradley Beal didn't like to play with him, and actually that I'm think of Spencer Dinwiddie is one of the few players that decreased the value in Washington Wizards.
Yeah, but he's coming from a significant injury. We have to take that into consideration. And maybe his health just doesn't hold up to the level of play that he was able to showcase in Brooklyn. He was a very, very nice feel-good story because he came in as a second-round pick, I believe, 38th overall. He was cut from Detroit. It seemed like he was out of the league. And then the way he flourished in Brooklyn and nearly became an all-star, that was wonderful. And it's fun to root for the guy. But, he's not a guy who has a good outside shot. He's not a guy that is effective, the most effective off the ball. With his current health considerations, that also adds up to the entire equation. And I don't know, do you think that the Dallas Mavericks today are a better team or a worse team than they were before the trade, just considering this season and their chances this season to go far in the playoffs?
I would go out of the limb and I will say that they are better because of those reasons, that the potential of Bertans being that gravity off-ball shooter that of Duncan Robinson, that would create much more room for Luka Doncic to operate. Spencer Dinwiddie joining the Jalen Brunson in the company to help Luka Doncic rest and be more effective on the fourth quarter. And maybe this mobile unit, with Dorian Finney-Smith, congratulations to him.
55 million, 4 years.
Totally deserved and drafted player. I loved those. He earned every single cent that he has. And
today I found out that they call him Dodo.
Dodo.
Yeah, like in the team. So
yeah, and he
congrats to Dodo.
No, he has. And so what's the start, like best five for Dallas Mavericks right now? I wouldn't say best, but like five
Their starting five or their closing five?
Closing. Starting five is like Dwight Powell and etc. It's not interesting, but the five players that I see Mavericks maybe managing to being successful with, upsetting some stronger team is of course Luka Doncic. Davis Bertans. I believe that if Dallas wants to succeed this year, relatively, of course, not to win championship, but not to suck at the playoffs, I believe that he has to be the part of the best five in Dallas. Of course, Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith for the defense, and either of Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie. Maybe Spencer Dinwiddie, because Jalen Brunson is really the even more ball dominant than Spencer Dinwiddie, I would say. And of course, he's much more culpable on defensive end, usually, because he's just smaller. I really like Jalen Brunson, by the way, and it's kind of weird for me that Dallas haven't tried to move him. They
hope to resign him, I believe, but
will you I think it will be sign and trade. It's like just spending 20 millions or something every season. Like, this is the value of Jalen Brunson that's going around the league right now. For the player that's not at his best, playing with your best player, I think Dallas Mavericks has too many of those already, So, but sign and trade with Knicks, with other team that really needs
the Knicks have been mentioned a lot.
Yeah, like Toronto Raptors could be amazing place for Jalen Brunson, like to replace, to allow Fred VanVleet not to play 55 minutes each game, Yeah, there's a lot of teams that's...
the Mavericks currently are the fifth best defensive team in the league and have an average offense of being 16th between 30 teams.
This should change.
Yeah. They did not improve their defense with this trade, really no. But they already Jason Kidd was able to squeeze out a better defensive result than we expected from this squad. So maybe if they can keep that up, and maybe if they can get a boost for their offense, they might be a dangerous team. And a lot of depends on the two new additions of Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. On the Wizards side, that's that's basically
it's hard to
another
get excited
lost
about
season.
them.
Yeah, and that's well, now Kristaps is your problem.
But
that's
maybe it's like I think if some Latvian Eurocentric podcast would have done the trade analysis, trade deadline podcast, and they would talk about Sabonis being moved to Kings, they would talk the same way, that we are talking about the Kings. That it's that we are talking about the Wizards. Well, it's not interesting team at all. Maybe with Porzingis, in some way, it will become.
I mean, they sent away Spencer Dinwiddie. They sent Aaron Holiday to Phoenix. They acquired Ish Smith. They got him back from Charlotte. And nominally, that's who is going to be their starting point guard for the rest of the season. You got Ish Smith, and you also got Raul Neto.
They are tanking this season.
Yeah. So, it's not much to be excited about. Maybe Kristaps will put up some big numbers.
And
I
he
would
will
actually
play 4,
expect that.
not 5 for them.
Yeah, most likely, because they still have Gafford and Thomas Bryant.
Yeah.
But the only, the least exciting outcome of of the remaining season is if Kristaps Porzingis gets injured and opts to have some sort of surgery, because Bradley Beal is done for the season, so they will allegedly be ready for next year. Well, that would be just you could turn off the Washington Wizards basically every game, because
unless you want to see Deni Avdija and Rui Hachimura developing. But also interesting point that I heard listening a bunch of podcasts about this trade deadline today. It's like that for Wizards fans to see Deni Avdija and Rui Hachimura playing with the ball is like quite misleading, because they never beat those players that are like leading ball handlers in the team, and you want to see them develop the role they are gonna be successful in your next great Wizards team. Not the just playing some
improve your individual skills,
like just racking up points on like 7 made shots out of 23 attempts and etc. So I cannot make myself be excited about Wizards. I think they were better off before this trade, but if we see Kristaps being successful, if we see Bradley Beal returning from the injury, they can be the team that makes some ambitious and stupid move in the offseason, and that's always interesting.
That's very Wizards.
Yeah, and maybe they will move back for Russell Westbrook. Well, he was good for us. We have Kristaps Porzingis right now, and yeah, it's hard to imagine, but a lot of crazy things happened.
Yeah.
I basically, like, if some kind of like fan or just a buddy of mine would send me this trade, like, whoa, I was playing with it on trade machine. I would say, like, it doesn't make much sense for any team. Like, what are you doing?
Yes,
do
you
not watch NBA basketball at all, or you have no idea how the front office works?
It's a bit depressive. You cannot find a clear winner, because like
basically there were 2 GMs that were, well, we need to move this player. And there was Luka Doncic that said you can move him, but you need to bring another Latvian to us.
I don't give a damn, man. Call up Andrzej Pasechnik, see if he's available. Just a random fun fact, because when looking at the post-up numbers of the entire league, DeAndre Ayton has had 99 post-up possessions this season and doesn't have a single and one. There are 2 players in the top 50 that have never scored an and one this year from a post up. That's Ayton and Hassan Whiteside. Well, he plays way less, but I just found it quite interesting, because the and one frequency to be 0.0. You do not see that very often. So I guess maybe the referees don't really like DeAndre Ayton.
Or he's not really crafty at drawing fouls.
Yeah. If you're wondering, this noise is just a lever from the chair. So we had 2 Latvians being moved for one another, and we also had 2 Germans getting moved for one another. We can jump real quick into this trade, because it has a bit less significance. It has more significance from financial standpoint. Boston Celtics reacquire Daniel Theis from the Houston Rockets, and the Rockets get Dennis Schroder, Enes Freedom, and Bruno Fernando. So what emotions does it give you?
The Boston Celtics gave away, I think they gave away some players that could have been assets for a player that they gave away for free last season.
Financial implications.
And really, and like Daniel Theis has guaranteed money for upcoming seasons. He was disastrous. Terrible this season. I don't know what happened to him. Like I really liked him at Boston, but it really looks that impact of Brad Stevens as a GM. Like you can see that he was coaching these players and like getting Al Horford, getting Daniel Theis. Well, they will be good.
Well, we know what they can offer. We know what they can give us.
And the part of this trade that really gets me, like, all confused, sad, and excited in the same way is the Dennis Schroder being moved for like a negative value contract. And what this means, I believe the Rockets will waive him. Will arrange a buyout with him.
Yeah, most likely.
Where he will end up to, because he's not that player that deserved the contract that Lakers offered to him. And maybe
what a story.
Maybe he never was that player, but he still. I see a bunch of teams that could use a speedy creator at the bench of the bench. Yes. So.
Yeah, but Celtics acquired Derek White as well, so
but
they
not
had to
with this trade.
Not with this trade, with another trade.
No, Derek White, part of the trade deadline, I love. It's oh my fucking god. Marcus Smart, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Horford, Williams, or
Theis.
Yes, it's this team doesn't have a good playmaker, but they have two guards that are. They have two guards who passing abilities are a bit above average, so they are quite good at moving the ball. Horford is much better at moving the ball than average center. So, I believe that Celtics can make a surprising run in the East. I really like
nice.
that.
Derek White came in for Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and the first round pick of this year of the Boston Celtics, and a first round pick swap in 2028, sending all this package to the San Antonio Spurs, who actually really shat on their modus operandi this year. We have been yearly saying they don't make in-season trades, but they don't make they made in-season trades like mad this year. Probably just to amuse everyone and to finally break the stereotype. One thing that we also have to discuss, because, what Lithuanians would we be if we wouldn't discuss Domantas Sabonis being moved to the Sacramento Kings, and we spoke about it at length in our Lithuanian podcast, but we already saw one game of Domas in Sacramento. We already saw him throwing alley-oops to Kimezi Metu, of all people, and making the man look really good and really athletic.
He is really athletic. I'm not sure about the good part, but he is really, really athletic.
So Domas is in Sacramento, and the one fun story that I also wanted to mention here, he had to pick a different number than number 11. He went with number 10, and I actually do own a Sacramento Kings jersey with the number 10, but I wore it to the last Lithuanian podcast, so I thought I would mix it up today. Anyway and anyhow, I wear that jersey, and I own that jersey because of fun comedic pun, which is really immature, but I will stand for it because it belonged to Mike Bibby, and it's for to our Serbian listeners out there, it's the same as having a player named Kurec and having Kurec written on your back and just walking around Belgrade and people not being mad at you and shit. So Bibi literally stands for just a vulgar expression for the term for penis. Yes, and what were the odds that our all-star, our only two-time all-star in our basketball history, would be traded to Sacramento and wear the same number that all of us found so funny back in the days as kids, just to seeing BB play for the Sacramento Kings?
Well, the odds weren't really high, and when you see the rumors around the other deals that were discussed, like the freshest news that Phoenix Suns and Indiana Pacers discussed about moving DeAndre Ayton for Domantas Sabonis, which is really interesting. It was, of course, if it was discussed from Suns' perspective, it was because DeAndre Ayton is about to get much more expensive than Domas is right now. But actually, forgetting the part about Halliburton being sent out to Indiana Pacers, as I said, I think that he's a bit overrated right now by the media consensus and maybe fans' consensus. But, sorry, Domas looked like he was always looking in the Pacers, but just in a new shirt, in a new team. And the thing I loved the most and that I understand more and more that I didn't like at Pacers. And maybe I don't even like a lot in basketball unless it's Nikola Jokic doing that. I'm not really a fan of handoffs. I find this part of basketball is just not as exciting as good old pick and roll or good old isolation. I'm talking like Jeff Van Gundy right now, but it was really so nice to see just pick and roll with the Aaron Fox. Just maybe it's the best pick and roll point guard Domantas Sabonis played with since leaving OKC, and when he was playing in OKC, he wasn't
really playing.
How
in
many
pick and
rolls he played during that time? Probably
three during the
yes.
season. Yeah.
So, well, of course, it's first game. It's Lithuanian All-Star. It's I was much more excited than I was supposed to be for the Sacramento Kings regular season game, but Domantas Sabonis is amazing at basketball fundamentals, and when you're amazing at basketball fundamentals, when you come to really bad team, you can make impact really quick.
Yeah,
and we are I think we are 1.5 seasons before Domantas not deficiencies, but negative
sides of
elements of the game. Yeah, that short hands, not being able to protect the rim, not being able maybe to space the floor so much to accommodate other rim protector is being talked about. I think that Sacramento Kings is not near enough this line, and Indiana Pacers, despite being as bad this season as Sacramento Kings, well, they dealt with understanding that Domas is not the player to lead them to the success, and they needed to do something. They needed to rip the Band-Aid off, and they did that. But I believe Sacramento Kings will be really happy with him, and they won't regret trading Tyrese Halliburton at the end. How do you think, Lee?
I don't know. I mean, Halliburton has a lot of potential. Really, that's a future All-Star possibly, and you got a present sort of All-Star. For a future All-Star,
I would guess that if Halliburton will be All-Star, I would guess that he will be also sort of All-Star.
Who will be also
Halliburton?
Sort of also? So if he will be an All-Star, he will also be an All-Star? Wait, what?
Sort of All-Star, as you counted Sabonis. Not sure, not...
No, I mean, right now it's just that he's not a current All-Star.
Oh, no, of course, yeah, but I believe he's ceiling not to be a perennial All-Star player.
Okay.
But maybe once in a career or twice in a career All-Star player, if that makes any sense. Sorry for the confusing play of the words. I believe, because Halliburton, he cannot, he's really good at shooting the ball, but he's not good at penetrating so far. That's about it. That's about how much I want to say about Halliburton. And if we move back to Sacramento...
Yeah, I also had the same impression that Domantas will be really valuable for the Sacramento Kings because of his basketball IQ. And he also has... he's mature beyond his years. Even when he was in Oklahoma in his rookie season, there were situations where I cannot say it with a very specific example, but when the team sort of loses its cool, loses its temper, starts making chaotic decisions and stuff, he would be the one player who would sort of get them down and get them back to playing just smart, fundamental basketball again. And that is something that the Sacramento Kings really need, because they have been chaotic for the past 15 years, but for the past a couple of seasons as well. So this impact that he brings to Sacramento, which may not even be statistically visible, but it boosts their ceiling and their floor as well.
Especially floor.
Yeah, and he's really good at this floor raising thing in these given circumstances, and it will be interesting to see. Also, we haven't had a Lithuanian in Sacktown for quite some time now. We only had Šarūnas Marčiulionis way back when, and Darius Songaila when he played with the Weber, Bibi, Stojakovic, Turkoglu teams.
Yeah, and Also, Kings acquired the Donte DiVincenzo, who's having a terrible year, trying rehabilitate himself after the injury.
They also received Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles, apparently, from Detroit. That's on NBA.com.
And Josh Jackson, I believe he might be the part of the rotation. Actually, it's not like just a filler.
Yeah, he's a talented player. He's just fudged in the head a little bit. He has problems with that, like off-court issues.
Oh, okay.
Trying to like enter the backstage of some music festival without having the credentials to do that, and getting arrested for that and stuff. Well, yeah,
definitely no one would recognize him.
He has to fix his head first, but there is a player in there, and also a name that I kind of chuckled when I saw it. The Sacramento Kings also got the draft rights to David Michino, who I saw him playing for the Metropolitans against Panevėžio Lietkabelis this season, and no, the guy really doesn't look like an NBA player. And when I saw him on the roster, I was like, oh damn, I remember this name. He figured something in the NBA, but he was just drafted in the second round a few years ago, and I would be shocked to see David Michino making the NBA one day. But yeah, that's just a lyrical spin on the subject.
This is NBA accent for you. We spend more time talking about David Michino than James Harden in this podcast, and I love that. So,
and there is one more trade that we really have to mention.
Can I just end about addition of Donte DiVincenzo? I just think that playing with Domantas Sabonis will let him bring back the element of his game that he loved so much in Milwaukee. Before it before Drew Holiday came and before he got an injury, I believe that his cuts to the basket, which he did a lot before, with Domantas Sabonis being the playmaker for those cuts, will be, if he will rehabilitate himself, quite successful. So I kind of like, especially having in mind that they basically just sent Marvin Bagley, that they would have released anyways. So it's really like low risk move for Sacramento.
Yeah, and also Harrison Barnes is a fine cutter off the ball, and I think that Domas will lead the Sacramento Kings in assists in like the remainder of the season.
Yeah, especially because Davion Mitchell is so good, surprisingly good. I just saw him, in the first 5 games when he was like, oh, this player is exciting, you need to watch it. Then, of course, because it's Kings, I haven't watched Kings at all, and now I watched the game against Timberwolves, and damn, this is a good player,
It's
getting
athletic, really
clear
quick, really strong,
clearer and clearer why it was easy for Kings to say goodbye to Tyrese Halliburton. It's because we have 2 really nice guards that we build around, and we need just someone to generate that gravity and pick and rolls for those guards to flourish. And of course Halliburton had the most value out of these 3 players. That's why they sent him. So and the last move.
And also, I'm just checking. De'Aaron Fox is shooting 27% from 3. Davion Mitchell is shooting 32.
I believe those percentages will increase.
With Domas in the mix?
Yeah.
Might be.
Maybe not De'Aaron Fox, but just De'Aaron Fox is just a type of player that can. At least he looks like he can play pick and roll like 48 minutes straight, and just the best partner of pick and roll being Rashawn Holmes. Of course, he's a really nice player. He's like super light version of Domantas Sabonis, and maybe he was supposed to be moved in the trade deadline. Maybe they wanted a bit too much for him, but
they still have Damian Jones and Alex Len, so they have 4 centers right now. Yeah, but
of course Rashawn Holmes is like way above the level of those 2. Those 2 can be waived any day, and they no one would be sad. But I like upcoming seasons, I would appreciate Kings to not draft but sign some kind of center that would could offer more rim protection than Mavs front court has right now.
So, the final move, we have one of the players. Now, this player is basically an inside joke for us. We have been doing these podcasts for, a couple of years now or something, maybe even more, I guess.
No, it's not. Yes, it's a bit more than a couple of years.
Yeah, and from the very beginning, for some reason, I mean, because he's a player that is a bit of an, or has been a bit of an icon in the NBA nerds and the number world for a lot of people, but for us, he still is. We can finally, once again, talk about Thaddeus Young.
Yeah,
baby. Who cares about James Harden getting traded for Ben Simmons? No way, man. We're here to talk about Thaddeus Young and also Goran Dragic, but of course.
No, I would like to start with Thaddeus Young first. Of course, I'm a fan of the Toronto Raptors. I'm a fan of the Thaddeus Young, and I'm not even mad that Masai Ujiri made really weird move by sending the draft pick of this season to San Antonio to acquire him, and they of course received back the draft pick of Detroit Pistons of this season, of second round, of course, not the first round. So basically it's like trading down for 10 to 13 spots depending on how their regular season will end,
something like that.
And I'm not appreciate this move from the Toronto Raptors.
But we have to also mention Drew Eubanks. He was also in the trade. He's moving from San Antonio to Toronto.
And he's waived.
Oh, so fun knowing, Drew Eubanks signed Toronto Raptors
pop trivia, element or sporkle. I don't think that it's a smart move from Toronto Raptors because they are, in my opinion, the best drafting team in the league. If we they are drafting good players at 20 picks, and and they're really good at developing them. So those 10 positions, maybe they already know that there's nothing in those 20s, and they have someone on their radar. That's
I wouldn't say so, because there is a lot of time until the draft. We have 4 months, a little bit more. It will get shuffled. The whole mock draft thing with the experts, with players moving up and down the ladders. It would be extremely unlikely that they have identified a player and that they would be able to right now say that no, he will be available at 32 instead of 21, so we don't care.
I agree with you, but the track record of Toronto Raptors and drafting players is so good that I believe that they of all teams, if one team have the player that they are targeting right now, and they know that it will be available at 31st pick.
The second part of this sentence is just really, really unlikely, because everything will just mesh up and
whatever. It's I'm not supporting this move from analytical point of view or just neutral point of view, but as a fan of Toronto Raptors, I'm super excited. I really like the idea that every player that Masai Ujiri added since trading I don't remember who, but basically since trading Kyle Lowry is above 6'9" and he has a wingspan larger than 7 feet. It's of course it's exaggeration, but it's just those flanky wings that are so lacking in the league. Toronto Raptors has all of them.
Yeah,
they can now run rotation of Scottie Barnes, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher, Precious Achua, and now Thaddeus Young. It's really, really difficult team to play against, and I really love that. And of course, Thaddeus Young is still really strong player physically. He had really good part of the season for Chicago Bulls last year before he was moved, and I still believe he has some gas left in the tank. And if Toronto Raptors wants to make some noise in the playoffs, he's probably best suited to guard against likes of Giannis Antetokounmpo and maybe Joel Embiid. Of course, a lot of players would be better than Thaddeus Young to guard against Joel Embiid because Thaddeus Young is really short. But the man is built like a freaking muscle tank. I think he's one of the strongest player in the league,
especially in his like lower body. He's just really hard to move. He's extremely hard to push, like get him off his feet. So that's.
He's not good at rim protection, but you cannot back him down.
You cannot bully him. Like the bully ball thing. No, he will stand his ground. Thaddeus Young, welcome to Toronto, and welcome back to relevance.
If those jerseys will be sold, because Svi Mikhailuk jerseys wasn't sold at least
Really?
Officially. Or I haven't found that, because I don't want to buy those jerseys that you can write the name himself. I want them to be sold like.
I remember like wanting to buy a Valanciunas jersey, and there were no available, and so I went to the customized thing and like enter your own last name, and I put Valanciunas. And that's it. 10 symbols is the limit, and you cannot. I couldn't even create a Valanciunas jersey.
It's off topic, but Manchester United, when they re-signed Cristiano Ronaldo this offseason, they have the option on their merchandise website to generate the jersey with any last name and any number that you want. Besides Cristiano Ronaldo, like you cannot put Cristiano Ronaldo or Ronaldo in that, because there was like a waiting list, like pre-ordering and a whole different pricing for that jersey. Well, for obvious reason. So that should be the case with Thaddeus Young on the Toronto Raptors. So. Okay, enough of joking around. I think he will add something to Toronto Raptors this season, but maybe not something that they needed, because they still don't have a decent ball handler on the bench. They still don't have shooting at all. Like
rebounding?
Especially defensive rebounding. And there was like some stat which I read on Raptors Republic blog, that Pascal Siakam is the star that's playing with sixth worst spacing in the league. I don't know how they qualify star, but this is the telling number. And Pascal Siakam is playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, they're good at the moment. Just it's a fine time to be a long time Toronto Raptors fan, and it's also a good time to get on the bandwagon, because they are really, really discovering their optimal form. They're really getting better day by day, and they are one of the dark horse teams in the East, and it's incredible. Just when you look at like the standings, come on, we have Milwaukee, Brooklyn, we have Chicago, we have Miami, we have Philly. Like one of these teams will not make it to the second round. Like we already have 5, you won't get past, and you also get your Raptors, get your Celtics, get your Hornets and Hawks and whatever. I mean, a lot of those teams can also like stick some sticks into the wheels of the big guys. So it's going to be one hell of a playoff, just the entire playoff this year, and I really can't wait for it to begin. And Eastern Conference is really exciting, like at the moment.
Okay, so like, to concluding this podcast, because we're running out of time, just your thoughts where Goran Dragic will end up, the other player that was included.
Dallas?
I'm really skeptical about that, because they acquired...
You can buy Goran Dragic's Toronto Raptors jersey for 119 euros.
Amazing.
He never played. He didn't play. He did? I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe.
At the beginning of the season. He scored 40 points, and Gary Trent Jr. scored 43 last night. So.
That's cool. I can't find you a Thaddeus Young jersey or a Svi Mikhailuk jersey, but there's a Yuta Watanabe one if you want.
No, I'm not interested. So basically, I believe that he won't be won't be going to Dallas Mavericks, because like Brunson, Dinwiddie, and Doncic, like there's no need for Goran, maybe for the Vibes. But do you know that the rule that's called by Lithuanian basketball
Ilgauskas rule.
Yeah, so because of this trade, Goran Dragic is now eligible to go back to Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Oh, and I would actually like that. I mean, he would most likely be the backup. Like he wouldn't even be in the rotation.
Definitely would be backup. Yeah.
I mean, because they have Gabe Vincent like playing real nice minutes right now, and other players. But yeah, to have someone with his experience, to have someone who understands the Heat culture and the whole philosophy and the vibe of the team, I think he would be a really good addition. And yeah, I would even prefer that to him joining the Dallas Mavericks.
So I support your thoughts, and thank you. People from around the world that joined this podcast. Sorry for some stuttering, sorry for some accent, but we will get better, and I believe so does NBA basketball in the next few months.
Oh, hell yeah. So yeah, thank you once again. Shout out to BasketNews, sveicieni to everyone from Latvia, and have a great week, y'all.